Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Fire It Up with CJ show. We have David Howitt, who is talking about his book, Heed Your Call. And in his book, he talks about a couple of case examples of people that he's actually coached through a process to allow businesses to operate successfully in commerce, to be profitable businesses, but at the same time doing something that's good for the world. And so he's going to be talking about David's Bread. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, Dave's
Dave's
Breath.
Killer Bread. And
Yeah,
he's going to be talking about, how he actually helped Dave's Killer Bread become a profitable and a meaningful business. So welcome back, David.
thanks, CJ. Thanks for having me.
So what happened? How did the whole engagement start, and what's the process you walked through?
Yeah, so for your listeners, and thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah.
The Merriweather Group, my firm, is really a business that's about helping who we think the modern day hero is, which is the entrepreneur. And we think that the entrepreneur is uniquely situated to really affect change in the world, and maybe in ways that are more profound than politicians or even NGOs. So we are really set up to help the entrepreneur on their journey. And we define entrepreneur as not just being someone who's sort of tinkering in their garage or kitchen on a new idea, but anyone in the world who is viewing the world through a lens of where has the consumer been deprived of innovation? Where is there an opportunity to create evolution or revolution in a category and really bring a new disruptive product or service into the world? So in the case example that you mentioned, Dave's Killer Breads, I met Dave Dahl several years ago, and he had been in prison 3 times, 5 years each time, for a variety of crimes. And in his last stay in prison, he had received mental health counseling and some addiction counseling, and had really sort of come out of the fog and had developed this amazing idea and concept around a new way to put bread into people's homes and mouths. He came from a family of bakers. They had a very small, humble family bakery. And when he got out of prison, he went to his family and said, I've got this idea for a new way of making bread, and I want you to take a chance on me. I met him shortly after that, and he had heard about my and my wife's journey with our company, Oregon Chai, and wanted to understand how we had manifested that business. And we talked a lot about how can you have a business that is filled with authenticity, purpose, meaning, a culture, stands for something in the world, and also have it be really successful from a profit and loss perspective, from a more traditional way of measuring a business. He was asking questions, can you combine those things? And we really spent a lot of time talking about what I refer to as the power of and versus the tyranny of or. And again, outlined in the book, Heed Your Call. And started to look at ways that we can embrace that and how we could reinforce in his brand and in his business being soulful and profitable. And ultimately, Dave was able, with our help and with his family and guidance of others, to grow a business from effectively his thoughts to a business that's significant in its size. We assisted him with strategy and how to grow the business in the market and identify key consumers, how to expand distribution, and look at ways to create new products around kind of some of his core items. Ultimately, about 1.5 years ago, we assisted the company in bringing in a major outside investor that could help the company really scale nationally. And everyone had sort of told us there's no way you'll find a big outside investor.
Right.
The company's founded by a felon. They hire a lot of felons.
Right.
Brand name has the word killer in it.
Right.
And it's just not going to happen.
Right.
Interestingly, it was those very things that allowed us to get this deal done at a level that was extremely valuable to Dave and the community. So here we have a company that really looked at the bread category, pun intended, and saw that it was very stale.
Right.
Just not a lot of innovation,
Right.
and brought a product to market that was fun, irreverent, goofy, edgy, and also amazingly healthy and incredibly, delicious, and also where there was a supply chain that was incredibly sort of good to the world.
And how did you do those things? Because, I'm sure that you hit pain points, right? Where you think, well, that would be more profitable, but then that wouldn't feel really good to my soul. I mean, how did you use your idea of that it's possible to do both when you hit those pain points?
Ultimately, any company, and I would say any person, has to understand authentically what their DNA is. You know, what makes them authentic and real and different, what their purpose is, their unique quality in the world. So for Dave's Killer Breads, we really established those things with a lot of clarity. And those things are just non-negotiables because that's your promise to the consumer. And
Okay.
never violate that promise to the consumer.
Right.
So, you know, just shifting gears and tell you a quick story that I think illustrates this.
Yeah.
With Oregon Chai, we had Starbucks come to us and say, we want to buy Oregon Chai from you.
Right.
And they offered a very significant dollar amount. And Heather, my wife, said, that's really nice of you, but we're not interested.
Mm-hmm.
And the senior person from Starbucks said, well, I'll tell you what, we're going to buy your competitor. We're going to reverse R&D your product. We're going to outmarket you 1,000 to 1, outspend you 1,000 to 1, put this competitive product in the market in a way that you never could, and we're going to put you out of business. And I just don't want you to say big bad Starbucks because we're making you a good offer.
Right.
And Heather said, thank you, we're not interested. I think I had like debilitating diarrhea that night. But the net result was Starbucks did exactly what they said they were going to do. They bought a competitor. They launched a competitive product. They spent tons of money, put it in all their distribution, and really did what they said they were going to do. Our sales doubled, and they doubled again and doubled again. And really the moral of the story is the consumer was able to sniff out that Starbucks basically had inauthentically sort of tried to reverse engineer our brand and put it in the market. And the consumer votes no when companies do that, when people do that.
So what was it? What was it that was Heather's purpose that made her say no to Starbucks?
Yeah.
What was, because you said she just would not cross that boundary. What
She
was the
would-
boundary she had?
You know, and I think this is something that's shared by all great founders. It's really always first and foremost about their passion and their vision and not about the money.
Right.
You know, she felt like she wasn't done yet. She was enjoying putting Oregon Chai into the world. The tagline she had developed, Nirvana in a cup, was really important to her.
Right.
She wanted someone in, you know, Iowa who might never leave their hometown. When they pick up a mug of Oregon Chai and put it to their mouth for that moment to experience being in the Himalayas first. And she wasn't done communicating that to the world. That type of intention is so powerful.
Conviction,
Conviction. When the consumer, and we're consumers, right? When we go to buy our products and services, we want to participate in that kind of story.
Yeah.
Sitting right next to that story is the knockoff that the big corporate conglomerate put in the market. It feels empty. It feels without soul, without conviction, without DNA. And ultimately, it's not going to be as successful. So for those listening, when you put your heart and soul, your conviction, your intention squarely and fully into your endeavors, business or otherwise, it works.
Yep. Love it. All right. So we have David Howitt. Heed your call. Thank you so much for being
Thanks.
here. What fantastic stories. Thank
you.
you so much. And thank your wife, too, for what a wonderful story. It's a beautiful story of how we can actually keep centered, even amidst temptations, I would call them.
Very much so.
All right, great. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Okay, have a great
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.